My career in journalism was defined by the civil rights movement of the 1960s, black rights, women's rights. I wanted to be part of that as a newspaper reporter. So I got a journalism degree at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, and then a job in TV news. I struggled with the good old boys in Texas television, but even before that, there were struggles. In high school, I wasn't allowed to be editor of the yearbook because I was a girl. And then at SMU, they wanted to keep me from being editor of the school newspaper. There were two candidates. I was the only woman and the most qualified. The man was chosen. Other journalism students and I were not very happy about this, so we came forth with a proposal, a compromise. The dean of students finally intervened, and I became editor. I was hired at WFAA TV in September of 1973. I was the first woman news writer at the station. I had to learn how to put words to pictures, completely strange for a print journalist. And after about a year or so, then I started reporting on air. At first, it was a lot of features.
Vice is nice, but only in moderation. Take the recent onslaught of light cigarettes. Less tar, less nicotine. Every pack contains 20 tickets to a longer life. Perhaps. Susie Mallory founded Men Watchers Incorporated about 3 years ago, and she claims to have a membership list that numbers about 3,000.
We do look at parts just like men look at parts. We've got leg ladies and chest ladies and, you know, all sorts of women who have particular tastes in what they enjoy looking at.
Crazy idiot drivers, the ones who weave in and out of traffic without even bothering to flick their signals. The ones who don't yield, damn it, when you're coming off the expressway. Well, sometimes you just gotta show these guys how you feel. So you make an obscene gesture. Not too wholesome or nice, but at least you feel better for it. Well, now you have an alternative. You can flip out one of these little numbers and tell the creep to hurry up. Or you can tell him to yield, damn it. And he can even read your message in his rear view mirror.
But there were also the hard news stories about abortion and racism.
These women live in Kaufman. They are getting ready to do their laundry, for most a routine household duty. But doing laundry in Kaufman, Texas isn't routine if you're black. For as long as anyone can remember, public washaterias have been segregated. There is one laundromat for blacks and there is one for whites. These black women decided to challenge that and asked Channel 8 News to go along. We hid a camera in a laundry basket and followed the women to City Coin Laundry. They went inside and the owner of the laundromat, Frank Radicke, told them they could not use the facilities.
Well, there was spot news. One day, 3 tornadoes hit Wichita Falls. I was the first reporter on the scene with a photographer, and I owned the story for that first day. Then when the males arrived, the guys came on. They told me that they had it down, I could leave. I resisted, of course, and kept reporting from the scene. This big footing was almost nonstop during those early days and years. Our news director, Marty Haig, fueled this in fierce competition among us. He was an intense man. And he wanted to prove that TV news, his first job as a news director, he wanted to prove that TV news could compete with newspapers and by producing not only original stories, but investigative work. But Marty Haig had a testosterone-fueled management style about him, laced with male privilege. He threw chairs, he yelled, and he slammed doors. And it wasn't a very easy newsroom to be in. There was lots of tension. What I did know about it was that I needed to get a beat to cover because that would make me stand out. That's when I broke the major stories. And the most important one was the corruption in the Dallas school district that I found.
The Dallas Independent School District has been rocked with a messy scandal that damages its credibility. And the Dallas Independent School District found itself facing a massive renovation and building program. To beat the clock and inflation, the district decided to waive competitive bidding procedures in many cases by claiming it was under an emergency situation. Superintendent Linus Wright says the bid sheet on the renovation project so far is one of the most incriminating pieces of evidence to come out of an investigation into alleged business irregularities in the school district. That investigation is focusing on the business relationship between the school district and the Maxwell Construction Company. These are payroll sheets submitted by the Maxwell Construction Company. Last summer, Channel 8 News learned that many of the payroll sheets submitted were padded, listing names of people on various jobs when in fact those same people never worked those jobs.
Stealing money from federal desegregation funds and a trial on RICO charges is what came out of that. My reporting won me several prestigious awards. Best Investigative Reporting from the Dallas Press Club and Journalist of the Year. Also, the Dallas General Contractors Association gave me an award for exposing graft and corruption in the district. And then I went on to Fort Worth to investigate the school district there and found the same sort of mess. During those school district investigations, my life was threatened. Tires were slashed. One school administrator even threw a tripod at me. And there was a Fort Worth employee who ended up taking his own life in all of this. I was blamed. And then a male reporter ended up stealing credit for my work in this. He even won an award that should have been mine. It really deflated me as a reporter. And the news director, Marty Haig, was not interested in my goal of being in management after I went in and told him I had kind of had it. He just said no. He wanted me to stay where I was. So I left the station. I went to Austin and got a job at KVUE TV. And then I later went back to Dallas. But all told, I spent a decade in television news before a seismic shift in my life. I came out of the closet as a lesbian. And then a few years later, I opened a lesbian feminist bookstore in the heart of Dallas's LGBTQ neighborhood. I left my reporter persona and went up to the other side of the camera and became a political activist.
The most important thing in the world is to come out, and I know that anybody, any gay man or lesbian who has come out will tell you, I feel better about myself and better about who I am. And the longer I'm out and the more I recognize who I am, and the better I am.
There was a columnist for the Dallas Morning News who interviewed me in 1989 about my coming out. It was very liberating to realize who you are, is what I told him. Journalism and my love of writing came from my paternal grandfather. He was a journalist and he lived in Mexico City during the 1940s. He wrote for the Dallas Morning News, Collier's Magazine, and he even penned a novel. It was never published, but he saved all those rejection letters, which were all upbeat. I got my love of words and reading from my maternal grandmother. She was an English teacher. And then from my mother and father, I got a typewriter, a Remington portable similar to this, a necessary tool to learn how to get my thoughts on paper. And I am forever grateful for that present. Sexism in the newsroom was very real. Many of us in the newsroom shrugged it off a little bit, made light of it, because we were super focused on our careers. But it wasn't all that easy to slough off the sexual harassment that was going on, the predatory behavior. One time, a high-profile anchor at WFAA TV, who had a notorious reputation for the ways he was with women, he walked up behind me during a staff meeting in the newsroom and popped my bra. I walked away. In the 70s, many women were afraid to complain about their lower salaries and for fear of retribution. And only a handful of women at WFAA agreed to go along with this and file a complaint with the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I did get back pay and a salary hike. I've spent all my life writing in some form or fashion. When I wasn't doing TV news or documentaries, I was writing stories for print. To make real money, I was a real estate agent and then a high school teacher. Today, I'm writing my memoir and publishing segments regularly that will eventually be in a book. Working in television news, I learned how to write differently than I had been taught and that I had practiced and whatnot forever. And so if the good that came out of it would have been that it taught me a little bit of a different way to write. More simply, I was really big into complicated, complex sentences when I was a print reporter or doing print at school. But it taught me how to simplify my writing. Now that I'm writing long form, I'm kind of blending the two. I like to see and look at how I have made the two compatible with my style. My advice to young journalists: be fearless in your work. Never forget that journalism is the bedrock of democracy.